Well, Roland Martin's at it again. Ever since Roland Martin called us simple Simon Negroes and Al Sharpton called us stupid and fools, and we start really going after them, and they know that a lot of young people is listening to us. A lot of young people is on it, right? We on this nerds over niggas, right? They already know that we ain't stupid. Everybody on here ain't bumbling idiots who don't understand the process, who don't know how to research, don't know how to study. That don't work no more. Right? You got the internet. People can look stuff up. People can research stuff like this. It's not just where you just sit around and you just listen to the preacher or listen to the politician, whatever they said, you just run with it. We're not going for that no more. So Roland knows that, and because he's feeling the heat, now he's going live, and he's taking a different strategy. He's not being disrespectful, outright disrespectful to us, but he's trying to actually act like he's trying to school us on things that he figured we don't know. So let's get into what Roland is talking about. And what we're going to do, we're going to expose when Obama controlled during the first 2 years of his administration, when he controlled the House and the Senate, right? Did he support reparations? Did he pass anything? Was it really being talked about when I think it was Obama or Biden, they had the trifecta, right? What did they endorse? What executive orders did they push, right? And I'm going to tell you something. These Democratic nominees and these Democrats are not going to push reparations because they don't want to mess up the union. Like the same way Roosevelt, when he didn't want to sign the anti-lynching bill because he didn't want to shake things up in the South, right? So many of them wanted to pass bills, but they knew they couldn't because of how racist America is. So they're never, ever going to fully push reparations because they don't want to mess up the country. See, we gotta be honest, and these people are not honest. They're not honest, right? They're going to give you this breakdown of how you got to have 60 votes for it to pass through the Senate. You got to control the House, and we know all that. But we know the Democrats only going to go so far because they don't want to rock the boat and mess that money up. But let's get off into this, man. Let's get off into this. Man, this thing is a joke, man. And these people are a joke.
So, y'all know, we spend a lot of time really trying to help people out, to help them understand politics, to help them understand how things actually get done. And there was a clip I saw that was posted on the social media of a brother who asked this question. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and play it right here, y'all. Okay. All right. So listen to this. I just want y'all to just listen. Okay. So listen to this.
Briefly, we have to get going in one moment. Step up, tell us your name, and briefly, what's on your mind?
Hey, yo, as I look around this room, if you're 35 years old or younger, raise your hand. 4 people. So here's the thing. Y'all in trouble. Yesterday, you had Al Green up here talking about we need a Secretary of Reconciliation, and then that's going to include what he said was reparations, which, by the way, wasn't reparations. Reparations is more than a check, but the very first thing it is a check. And come this year during the midterms and in 2028, if you don't have our check, you won't get no vote. No check, no vote. Yeah, I know that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what's happening. All of y'all in here, with all due respect, you're beautiful, but you're old. You're not talking to the youth. You don't know how to talk to the youth. You're trying to tell us what to do. We're not having it no more. So if you want our vote, you got to come with our paper. We're not scared of Trump. We're not scared of anybody. Biden is a racist. Trump is a racist. Kamala is a racist. And if you don't have our money, you don't get our vote. Yeah, not. Who are you? Oh, all right, yeah, so like I was saying, I'm going to land my plane right there, but the Democrats are no better than the Republicans. No check, no vote. Y'all take care. And somebody get my man a tissue. He need a tissue.
All right, so I saw that, and
Now, listen. Let me say this too before we advance forward. I want you guys to understand something. Now, what I'm gonna say is, let me tell you something. It ain't just the boule class that think they're better than black people. It's a lot of regular black people that think they're better than other black people, and a lot of black people that's a part of that church, a part of that democratic way of thinking. They look down on you. They think that you should just shut up and just come in the room and sit down and we got this because you ain't smart enough. That's the way that they operate. And when you start to voice your opinion and rock the boat, you the troublemaker. You more of a troublemaker than the W, man. This is the way that they operate. So let's get back to this, man. And what he's doing is his strategy now. He's not going to be disrespectful. He's acting like, just pay attention, y'all. No emotion.
A couple of people actually posted that on their Instagram accounts. And I've asked a very basic question. How do you get a tangible before the election? You don't. You get
real quick. He said, how do you get a tangible before the election? Okay, that's fair enough. I agree with that. But we already went through the elections process and put these Democratic presidents in office, from the Clintons to Obama to Biden. And those things still didn't happen. We even had times when we controlled the House. It still didn't happen. Let's proceed.
Get a promise. Someone can say, this is what I'm going to advocate for if you elect me. Okay. So let's just say someone running for a House seat says that I'm going to advocate for you for that reparations check. Got it. What then happens if that person running is a Democrat? Because I would see one Republican who supports reparations. What happens if that person loses? Who's advancing the issue? Now let me flip it. What happened if that person in your congressional race wins, but nationally Democrats don't win another 217 seats? That means.
Now I want y'all to pay attention, because for a lot of my foundational Black Americans, brothers and sisters, we got to get into this. Now, this is stuff that I was talking about 3-4 years ago on the channel. And we got to get in this because they think that we're stupid. And right now, what he's doing in a nice way, he's talking to us as if we're stupid. I want y'all to listen. No emotion, but this is important because they feel like y'all don't know what y'all talking about. And a lot of y'all out there don't. A lot of y'all out there do. But pay attention.
That Republicans are in control of the U.S. House. Your bill will not even get to the floor.
We have bills on the floor already.
Let's say your person wins, and let's say Democrats win a majority of the House seats. Got it. You're going to need 218 people. So your person may say, power to the people, I support this. But you're going to need 217 more votes. And the other 217 votes don't come from all Black districts or majority Black districts. They don't. Okay.
So real quick, before we go forward, let me tell y'all something real quick. Let me show my face. Let me tell y'all something. What he's telling you in a nice way is what Democrats have done, especially a lot of the older generations. They knew that they was fighting for it, but they knew they couldn't get it. So they just sit down and just take whatever they can get. And this is why you hear them say, well, you got to vote for the lesser two evils, because they've given up. And this is why they're fighting for all these immigration policies. He just told you. He said you're going to need 200 and something votes. And a lot of them are not going to come from Black districts. They know this. I know this, right? But see, if you take the emotion out, you listen to him. He just checkmated the Democrats right there. I could cut this off and don't do nothing else. But let's proceed.
Let's say your person wins, and let's say you do get 217 other votes. It now has to go to the United States Senate. You're going to need 60 votes. Mm-hmm. Right now, Republicans control the Senate. You ain't getting no check.
And a lot of those senators are not going to support reparations because they don't want to mess up their voting block. We get it. Why are you talking to us as if we stupid? Come on, let's proceed.
Let's say Democrats win in November. And let's say they have a 51-49 lead, 51-49 majority. They're going to need 9 more votes to get to 60. Can you name me 9 Republicans who are going to support this issue? No, you can't. Let's say Democrats get to 53.
I know a bunch of Democrats that wasn't going to support the issue either, even Kamala Harris. What was it? It was Bernie Sanders an independent? I forget. But he don't support it. So many of these people don't support it. Y'all remember Jane Elliott came out talking all that stuff about reparations, about slavery, but she didn't support reparations, but she did for the small hats. Let's proceed.
3 votes. You're going to need 7 more votes. Can you name me the 7? No, you cannot. Because they don't support your issue. Okay, let's say your person wins the House. They're Democrat, and Democrats control the House. And your person wins the Senate, and they control the Senate. So let's just say it gets 218 votes in the House and 60 votes in the Senate. Who then can sign or veto it? Donald Trump. What do you think he's going to do?
Oh, Jesus, man. See, this is what I'm saying. This Donald Trump. Joe Biden wasn't signing no executive orders. Because, and he said, well, if it gets on my desk, I'll sign it. He already knew it would never get there. But let's proceed.
It'll be a veto. This is what so many people don't understand. You can run for a school board seat and win, and you can lose every time. You know why? Because you don't have the votes. You got to count. When Ron Kirk was the mayor of Dallas, he always used to tell me, he's like, Roland, these people can hoot and holler all they want to. I know how to count votes. I know how many I need to get to be in the majority to win. He said, I got them in my pocket. And so when somebody stands up at one of those forums.
Hold on. Let me say this to this blithering idiot and what he about to say. You know what's disrespectful, what's funny? Since they got in their mind that these young black people don't understand the seats and how many votes you need, how come they never talk about it on their channel? How come it's never being taught? How come they're not being transparent with the youth and explaining this? How come y'all just saying shut up and vote? Huh? See, these are the questions that you should be asking those elders. Why are you telling me to vote? How many votes do I need in the House? How many do I need in the Senate? What's up? What's going on? Right? We should be asking answer these questions for me. If not, stop talking to me. See, you was just told to shut up and go and vote. Don't ask no questions. They see if he can articulate this to you, they have an understanding for certain things that people may not know. Why don't he teach it to them? Because they don't want you to know all this stuff. They just want you to follow their agenda and their narrative. This is why.
And says that. Sounds great. But there's a reality that has to actually take place. And that, to me, is the mistake, Joe, that so many people make when we're talking about politics. They act like their person can do whatever they want, and they can't. They act like you can get these things done. And again, I get it. I just want to ask people very basic and fundamental question. If you know Republicans are trash and then you shitting on Democrats, please explain to me where is your constituency to get what it is that you want. I'll wait. And Joe, that's why Schoolhouse Rock 2.0 is so important. When they played that, how do you make a bill?
I'm just a bill.
We just got to be honest.
Now, hold on. Let's do this. Let's go out and let's just do some some work real quick, right? So y'all know me, y'all know how I get down. Let's pull up some stuff and let's figure out like what's going on here, right? Okay, so Democrats control the U.S. House of Representatives for the first 2 years of President Barack Obama's administration during 2009 and 2011. During the 111th Congress, during this time, they also held the majority of Senate, allowing them to pass major legislation like the Affordable Care Act, right? So Democrats held the House majority, Republicans regained the House in the 2010 midterm elections, right? Let's go over. So I mean, we just the Democrats held the majority of U.S. House seats during the first 2 years of Biden administration, right? 2021, 2023 for narrow margin. They held a 2020 222 213 majority immediately following the 2020 elections. Republicans took back the House in 2022 midterms, right? So let's go. So I want to cover this kind of stuff for us because they think that we're stupid and we don't follow, right? So during the first 2 years of the Biden administration, when Democrats held the House majority, President Biden signed several landmark legislative packages. Key legislation included 1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, 1.2 trillion Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Bipartisan Safety Communities Act. American Rescue Plan Act provided COVID-19 economic relief, including $1,400 stimulus checks. I remember those, right? The infrastructure investment, a $1.2 trillion bipartisan package for roads, bridges, broadband, and water infrastructure. Inflation Reduction Act, a massive investment in climate change initiatives. This is all the stuff that when Trump got in, he cut all that kind of stuff because he was saying that they was pocketing a lot of this money. CHIPS and Science Act invested roughly $280 billion to boost domestic semiconductor manufacturing. Bipartisan Safety Communities Act, right? The first major federal gun safety legislation for nearly 30 years. Respect for Marriage Act, codified federal protection for same-sex, this is for the Skittles crew, honoring our PACT Act, expanded healthcare benefits for veterans exposed to toxic burns, right? Let's move over. During President Barack Obama's first 2 years in office, when the Democrats controlled the House of Representatives and maintained a working majority in the Senate, he signed several pieces of legislation aimed at reversing the Great Recession, reforming healthcare, right? So he signed Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act in 2010, known as Obamacare. Healthcare and Education Reconciliation Act, amendments to Obamacare, right? That also included Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act, which overhauled the student loan system. Now we know that when Trump got in and he cut all this kind of stuff. This is why they're screaming bloody murder and they're upset and they're crying. And he got rid of DEI and all these race-based initiatives, right? So this is the battle. This is the battleground. This is what they're fighting for to recover. American Recovery and Reinvestment Act 2009, an $800 billion economic stimulus package designed to jumpstart the economy. This one he was giving all them checks away for like 12 weeks. Right, I remember that I was getting some of that money. Frank Wall Street Reform and Customer Care Protection Act, major financial regulations overhaul aimed at preventing a repeat of the 2008 financial crisis. Right, Credit Card Act 2009, Lilly Ledbetter Fair Act, the first bill signed by Obama, making it easier for workers to sue or pay for discrimination. Right. Don't ask, don't tell, right? That's allow gay and lesbian Americans to serve openly in the military, right? So they got the right to marry, they got the right to serve in the military, implement a stricter regulate. Oh, wait a minute. Authorize FDA to take more preventative actions to ensure food safety. What a joke. What a joke. Right? So other notable legislations passed. The Omnibus Public Land Management. Let's just go. Let's move over here, right? Let's move over here. And I hope that y'all are taking this information down and you guys are looking this stuff up. You're doing your homework because this stuff is important. During the first 2 years of the Biden administration, 2021-23, Democrats achieved a federal trifecta, controlling the White House, the House of Representatives, and a narrow 50-50 Senate with Vice President Kamala Harris as the tiebreaker. This enabled easier confirmation of judges, executive nominees, and the passage of major legislation. Senate control, Democrats took control of the Senate following Georgia's runoff, right? So so now when they had the trifecta, they start passing the majority of laws went to LGBTQ, right? Let's move over here. President Obama had a Democratic majority of both the House, right? During this time, they passed major legislation, right? Hold on for a second. I'm looking for the 1 second. All right, I think I found it. Okay, here we go. I think this is it here. Okay. So now, during his presidency, Barack Obama did not pursue reparations for slavery, viewing them as political non-starters, right? And counterproductive due to potential white resistance and resentment. Although he considered reparations justified in theory, he preferred addressing inequality through universal programs for everybody. Universals for everybody, right? Targeting poverty, education, and healthcare. Justified, but impractical. Obama argued that while a powerful argument exists for reparations, he found it difficult to imagine a majority population agreeing to a massive transfer of resources to make amends for historic wrongs, right? Political resistance. He stated that the administration faced a politics of white resistance and resentment, that promoting direct cash payments would have a political failure. So he's not going to go in that direction at all. You can cancel Christmas if you believe that he's going to go that way. Joe Biden expressed support for the concept of studying reparations for slavery, making a shift from his past opposition, but he studied short of endorsing direct cash payments and did not prioritize passing federal reparations. In February 2021, the White House press secretary Joe Pizzasky stated that President Biden backed studying reparations, specifically regarding legislation like H.R. 40, right? So they put in a study. Biden maintained that his focus on addressing racial disparities through border policies such as tracking systematic racism, right? They wasn't passing no bills, right? So let's go here. Repair, not payment. Alternatives to payment. Hold on for a second. Biden maintained that his focus was on addressing racial disparities through border policies such as tackling systemic racism. Lawmakers noted that Biden used the word repair not rather than reparations or direct payments in private discussions with Congressional Black Caucus. During his 2020 campaign, he suggested that reparations could be achieved through investments in underserved communities and wealth building initiatives. In 1975, then Senator Biden was adamantly opposed to reparations, saying, "I'll be damned if I feel responsible to pay for what happened 300 years ago." Man, that was your man. That was your man, Joey B. Joe Biden wasn't down with that. That's the guy they put in office. Let's look at. Wait a minute. Oh, hold on. I think I messed up. Right here. Sorry, y'all. Right here. In 1975, then Senator Biden adamantly opposed reparations, saying, "I'll be damned if I feel responsible to pay for what happened 300 years ago." During the 2020 campaign, he shifted to support a study of the issue, acknowledging the need to grapple with the origin of sin. Activists, and some lawmakers pushed for Biden to create a reparations commission through an executive order, but he did not take this action during his term, focusing instead on other agendas like infrastructure. Oh, but then we get over to homegirl, the homegirl. Kamala Harris, 2020 candidate for Biden. While her stance shifted to support a study of reparations, she was often criticized by activists for lacking a clear commitment to direct reparations, sometimes pointing to the LIFT Act, a general tax credit, as her preferred solution to economic disparity. No, she wasn't. None of these people were going to push for reparations. Their stance were clear. Bernie Sanders, independent, aligned with Democrats, consistently expressed skepticism about direct cash payments for arguing that such measures are not practical. In 2019, he stated that his focus was on investing in distressed communities rather than race-specific reparations. Need you guys to understand the game that they're playing, right? And this is the thing. Let me come back and show my face. They want to invest on economic disparities and underprivileged communities. That's called gentrifying your communities and pushing you out. That's what that's called, family. Then they don't have anything for you. But let's go back to Roly Poly and his cohorts and let's listen to a little bit more about what they were saying.
For people to understand how this stuff works.
Yeah, for sure. I remember taking my daughter in the 8th grade up to Capitol Hill when they were doing the 8th grade trip, and I set up a meeting with Pete Aguilar, and I'd been playing Schoolhouse Rock all her life and didn't know whether or not she was getting it. And we walked up the stairs, and it was that moment. She looked around and she said, "This is it. This is I'm Just a Bill." And I'm Just a Bill talks about things passing in both houses. It talks about things going to the president and whether or not the president vetoes it and what has to happen. And so, you know, it's all laid out in the words. He hopes he becomes a bill. He hopes he becomes a law someday. He hopes and prays that he will, but today he's still just a bill. And so in order to be a bill that becomes a law, you need numbers. Okay, it's all about numbers. And so that attitude that was espoused from the brother is the reason why we lose.
I want you
Give me your issues. Tell me how you're.
He was saying that attitude that comes from the brother is the reason why we lose. That right there, and I'm gonna break that down in a minute. But let's listen to this sister.
Going to get this passed in order for it to actually happen, and they go real quiet when I ask that real basic question.
Because at the end of the day, I think, Roland, people forget that America is, in fact, a democracy, meaning we have to vote for all of these things, right? As bad as the political climate is currently and has gotten, we still are a voting nation, right? So people can't just pass bills on a whim, like you mentioned, right? And as someone who is part of that age demographic that he mentioned, it's extremely concerning, right? Because I talk to a lot of my colleagues and my peers, and a lot of people don't understand, you know, rudimentary things about the political process. And
they on this channel, and they don't teach it. They don't ever talk about it. They just tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. I know that a lot of people don't understand the political process and how it works. And there are a lot of people online just screaming and frustrated, but don't have the remedy to solve their own problems. We already know all this kind of stuff, right?
This country. And that's why I think organizations like this organization, Black media, organizations like my own politics, we're the ones who are really trying to be on the front lines to teach this information, because unfortunately it's not something that's even being taught in schools at this point, right, Roland? So we have to be.
So stop coming on here insulting people. Let's go back to Roland though. When Roland decides to go off.
and very emotional. And you're like, yeah, right on. Then you go, but did he or she say anything? No, they didn't. And I also want y'all to notice something. I want y'all to notice that all of the people who yell, holler, and scream, you bootlicking, you buck dancing, you shilling, y'all notice they always have lots of smoke for Democrats, but they ain't never got smoke for Republicans. Here's what I also noticed. Why, if you believe, okay, so that brother said, Trump racist, Biden racist, Kamala, he didn't pronounce her name right. She was racist, they all racist. Okay. So who's gonna give you a check? What I'll say to every single person who's complaining about this and they're tossing names. Why are you not organizing and mobilizing? No, I don't mean a rally. I don't mean a get together. I'm talking about if you believe that you have a message to reach young voters, why are you not organizing and mobilizing them? Please show me the data. Please show me in what city you're doing this. Please show me how you are proactively engaged in the electoral process. I'll wait. But see, here's what I'm not going to do. I am not going to spend precious time.
You doing it right now, fool.
Yelling, hollering, screaming.
Hey, let me say this, right? One thing that he's saying that I do agree with, we got to get into the political process. The reason why a lot of these bills can't pass the House, right, and can't get the votes in the Senate, because we're not making a powerful enough push as the young people, right? We got to galvanize. We got to use hip hop. We got to use our culture to galvanize these other groups, right, to get behind our cause, right, of young people of all colors to get behind our cause. So let me say something that's unpopular for a minute. I understand we got a lot of tethers and we online, we calling people tethers, immigrants. I get it. We going after other groups, right? But in these other districts, we're going to need these other groups to support our cause in order for these people inside the House and the Senate to vote for us. We're going to have to start moving strategically and politically. And it's going to have to come from the young people. So some of these wards and divisions where people are voting, everybody ain't going to don't look like us. Everybody ain't going to be us, but we're going to need allies. We're going to have to need people that agree with our plight, right, in order to get things done. That's the way it works. So I understand what Tariq is doing, but sometimes it can become counterproductive as well when you get to this part of the game, right? And getting bills passed on the floor, right? We got to start moving strategically. That's why I don't really use the term tether. I understand these people, but I'm moving a certain way because we got to get in the room and get people on our side to get votes. That's the way it works. That's the truth of the matter. That's a fact. So we got to start moving the right way, right? And listen, forget Roland and them, man. They're not like Roland and them is a joke, but let's listen to a little bit more before we get out of here.
Sitting there foaming at the mouth about something, but I'm not offering people a pathway to actually get it done. And I fundamentally believe that unlike white people, unlike Latinos, unlike Asian Americans, unlike Native Americans, we got a whole bunch of loud,
They go to disrespect.
Simple Simon Negroes.
Here we go again.
who love to spout things and love to yell and holler things, they ain't got no plan. They ain't got no action. Bumping gums is not a plan. Bumping gums is not a plan. And I'm telling you, if you let these folks gain root here, oh, we'll be doomed. Because the facts are the facts. If you do not and organize and mobilize people and drive them to polls, and when the election is over, you drive them to city council meetings and school board meetings and county commissioner meetings and state house and the federal, you don't do any of that, everything that you claim you want as a tangible, you are guaranteed to never get because you never organized and mobilized. And if you are just spouting, hoping somebody else do it, then you're actually part of the problem because you're just talking while others are acting.
Now, this is the thing. That part I agree with. I'm not mad at him for that. No emotion. I'm not emotional about it. I don't have to like him, but what he said, he was 1,000% right. So now what we going to do about it? We got to mobilize in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, in Georgia, right? In Houston, in Dallas, in Fort Worth, right? Chicago, New York City. We got to mobilize. And we got to correspond and work together. And we got to get allies. We got to get other groups to be sympathetic towards our plight. It's the way it works. You got to have the votes in order to get things done. I had the votes. Other than that, you ain't getting nothing done. But we're going to have a more of a in-depth conversation about this, about how we should be moving, right? If y'all made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV, leave your comments in the comments section. The comments I want to see is about galvanizing the people and understanding how to get things passed on a Senate floor, how to get things passed through the House. Those are the comments I want to hear. All right. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.